It's raining. It's the middle of the night. What else is there to do? Let's make an antique doll video. Oh, excuse that. That was just picked from my garden. And yeah, it's like the end of the end of September, almost October. We still have tomatoes here in New York. Oh, and that's another thing. A lot of people come on my video and they're like, "Oh my God, a Jersey girl." No, no, no. I'm a New Yorker. Okay, so here we go. And it doesn't really matter, but don't get it wrong. Not Jersey, not Boston. New York. Okay, I'm from New York. And all right, so what do we have here? We have a German doll, antique. If you want to know more about antique dolls, you can watch a lot of my videos. I'm going to tell you right now, no expert here. I never like to say I'm an expert in anything because they'll always be someone correcting me and then they'll say, but I thought you were an expert. So I will not say I'm an expert. And so we got a German doll here. This is very old, probably between 1890 and 1910. I can only give you a precise date for this doll because it's very hard to precisely date these dolls because they were made for decades, some of them. Now, some of them will have a different mold number on the back of the head from a different manufacturer or a certain manufacturer, and you'll be able to pretty much uh, guess within 10 years the date of when it was made. But this particular doll was prolifically made for at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. Okay, so hard to pinpack. Did I almost just say that? Okay, sorry, I'm having like a little bit of a brain freeze. It's hard to precisely date these, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so what did I do to get this doll? Okay, so at one point I was really active on eBay looking for antique doll bargains. And I got quite a few antique doll bargains in the past 25, 26 years that I've been on eBay. Pretty much in eBay's birth. I was buying things when you used to buy. Oh, I'm seeing orbs. No, it's not a ghost. It's probably. Did you just see that? I don't know. Yeah. Anytime I film this doll, there's like these little orby things coming from it. Is it ghosts? Probably not. If it is, please don't haunt me, you bastard. Okay, so back to what I was saying about my eBay days. Yeah, so I used to find some good bargains. You can't really find bargains anymore. Why? Well, when this doll was made, Antiques Roadshow, I believe, was still on the air. But not too many videos about dolls would pop up. So people would actually sell things from their grandmother's basement and they wouldn't like really look it up. They didn't even know where to find the markings on these things. So you would get some really great bargains. Like, as an example, I got a really, really valuable antique Jumeau doll for $750 that was worth back then about $5,500. So you can only imagine the amount of bargains I had found. I had found another Jumeau doll, a Tete Jumeau, and I got it for $50. Yes, $50. The person just said vintage doll, fair condition. Turned out it was in fantastic condition. Did I just see another orb blast by? I don't know. Not even looking anymore. And yeah, I got that. I couldn't believe it. Doll worth about, at least at the time, it was worth, the prices go up and down on these dolls. It was worth about $2,000 back then. I've gotten a lot of other really great bargains from eBay. As a matter of fact, I once won an antique porcelain figure that was very rare and German. The person didn't know it was rare or German, just thought it was a knick-knack or a tchotchke from their grandmother's house, and opened the bid at 99 cents with free shipping. I won it for 99 cents with free shipping. I flipped it on eBay. Like, flipped it. Like, I knew right away. Oop, Meissen porcelain. Yes, Meissen porcelain figure. I flipped it and put it on auction with a reserve. That's right, because it's not very smart to start things out at 99 cents. And yeah, it sold for $995. It got last second snipers and a bidding war ensued. And yeah, so that was the good old days of eBay. You're not going to find anything for cheap anymore because of all these shows like Antiques Roadshow, Porn Stars, American Pickers, there's blogs, there's internet information, there's videos with people like me telling you about antique dolls. So yeah, those days of the bargains are now over. Although this is what I would call a beginning antique doll collector doll. This is what you would probably buy if you were a beginner. Somebody who doesn't have that much money, is on a budget, would go for a doll like this. Now, she's a shoulder head. She's not a doll that is got a socket head on a jointed composition body. This is a kid leather body, the head and the shoulders in one piece of bisque. glued onto a kid leather body. She does have Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, as you can see here. They're pretty short for this particular doll, but she has her original wig, which is human hair. She has her original dress, which I actually showcased with chatelaine purses from the Victorian era or Edwardian era. These are very old purses. This one here is really cool. So this is how women used to wear purses, attached to their waistbands with a hook. And it was really interesting how small the purses were back then. Women actually, it was not like they had a lot of things to carry around like we do today. And not only that, it was considered very unladylike to carry large bags. So if you really want to think about it, what did they have to carry? They didn't really need bills like paper money. That just a few coins could buy all their groceries for the day. And so they didn't have makeup. They had makeup, but it wasn't very ladylike to wear makeup back then. It was pretty much for how could I put this lightly? You know what I'm talking about, the red light district type of ladies. And so you really wouldn't rouge your cheeks unless you would do it on the sneak and, you know, powder your face. You really wouldn't carry facial powder or makeup around with you, although some women snuck and wore it. It didn't become a thing for ladies to wear makeup until about the 20s, when women's liberation pretty much took off, and women cut their hair really short and started wearing pants. And then they were like, screw it, man. We're going to rouge our cheeks. We're going to put lipstick on. We're going to put eyeshadow. We're going to put mascara, eyeliner. We're going to do whatever the hell we want. And nobody's going to say a damn thing about it. And then the purses got bigger. And so these are really cool. This is something you would get at a seasort resort if you were on vacation. This is mother of pearl on both sides, opens up like a clamshell. Really interesting. Also, if you were on the grand tour of Europe, you would bring back one of these, especially if you were in a seaside town of France or, you know, some other part of Europe. This is a miser bag. And it's funny, like, we call people that are cheap misers, right? You'll say, oh, you're a miser bag. Well, it's really interesting. Why is this a miser bag? I'll show you. So, okay, this has a little finger ring here, and it also attached to a hook from a lady's waist, but it's really quite frustrating to get this sucker open. So if a lady would carry her coins in this little sack that I think is crocheted. Now, I'm not an expert at this sort of thing, but she would put her stuff in this little flap, and you'd open this flap, and wait, this has a button. Let's get the button undone if we can. Yeah, doing this with one hand and filming with the other is not easy. So I'm going to have to take a pause a moment. Okay, so I got it undone. Sorry, I had a pause there. All right, so you don't see an opening, right? You're like, wait a minute, where's the damn opening? There is no opening. It actually, you have to pull these strings. You have to pull these strings. It's really a puzzle to get this thing open. So a pickpocket would not be able to like get into a lady's purse very easily without her noticing. So you pull these strings and then there'll be an opening to the bag. Not going to do it because I'm filming with one hand, but there's interesting information about purses and why they call these things miser bags. So you're not gonna part with a penny, right? Because you're not going to be able to open the damn thing unless you're a freaking you're a skilled purse opener. So that's where we got the term miser bag from. Very interesting. And yeah, if you're called a miser bag, it's pretty much an insult. So my research tells me that this doll was made by Heinrich Handwerk, a German doll company. I don't believe they had their heads even made in their own factory because I don't think they had a bisque porcelain factory. They got heads a lot of times from Simon and Halbig and some other makers. Now, this is not your best Heinrich Handwerk. I'll show you a mark. And I'm not taking her wig or bonnet off. It's too much of a pain in the arse. And here's the marking on the back of her neck or nape of her neck or shoulder plate area. And you'll see the H, you know, the really fancy script HCH mark for Heinrich Handwerk. Now, they were known to make much better quality dolls on socket heads, which would be a jointed composition body. Their lower end dolls or their cheaper dolls would have been made on a kid body. Mostly the ones you will find that are by Heinrich Handwerk and heads made by Simon Halbig, which with this one definitely was not made by Simon Halbig. I can clearly see that. I'm a doll collector. Not an expert, but I know enough to know that this was not made by Heinrich Handwerk. By Simon Halbig. No way, no how. But yeah, so this company, actually more dolls made by this company were jointed. You don't see too many of these, although these were prolifically made. And this was made for the middle class or lower middle class to be able to afford a doll. Dolls were expensive. Toys were expensive. Children could only play with their toys generally for 1 hour a week, supervised after church. And that was it. The parents did not, especially if you had a doll that was expensive. Now, people did not have lots of money back in the olden days. They weren't as middle class. Like a middle class person from the 1800s was more frugal than a middle class person of today. We have MasterCard, right? We have Amex. We have Visa, right? We're going to put our kids' toys on credit if, we want to see our kids happy on Christmas, right? Or on their birthday. Back then they didn't have that. So if a kid was going to play with a bisque head porcelain doll, the parents had to make sure the kid wasn't going to place the doll down hard on the table and crack the face. So, parents watched. They were helicopter parents because with the kids' toys, because they didn't want the kids to bust the toys that they just spent, equivalent to like $70 US. Back then the doll was probably about $2 or $1. $1 in the 90s, somewhere around there, was equivalent to like $35, $38. So $2 for a doll, which probably this doll would have been about $1 doll all day long. This doll would have probably been $35 to $40. Now, a better one on a jointed body would probably be about $1.50 to $2, and that would be almost double the money. And so parents had to watch like hawks to make sure their kids didn't bust these toys. Now, what's really cool about this doll is she has her original dress. And you don't generally find these dolls with their original dresses because they disintegrate. If it's made out of silk, 9 times out of 10, it shatters, it disintegrates, it gets stained, it falls apart. And so when you find these dolls with their original attire, it's all that more special. And so I'm going to lift up her dress, and you're going to see she has layers and layers of undergarments, slips. We got another layer here. We got another slip. Look at this. And then we have pantaloons, which is really, really neat. Now, this was underwear for women and children back in the day, females. And yeah, that must have been like holy hell in the summer to have to wear all these layers of undergarments. You would have sweat your arse off. Here's the original shoes that this doll came from the factory with, made out of oilcloth. Oilcloth was made to emanate leather. It was made to look like leather, but it was basically a canvas with layers of oil varnished over it. We have the original stockings, which are these really cool fishnet style black stockings. And we got the original buckle made out of metal with a little bow in the front. And so you don't generally see these dolls with all this original clothing, and especially a cheaper doll. A cheaper doll would have basically came naked back in its day. It would just come with a chemise, which would be like a little slip underneath. And the parents would have to make the clothing for it. Now, I don't know if this is a factory dress. Very hard to tell if this came. It looks factory to me. But sometimes parents or their children would get patterns and make outfits for these dolls, or the nanny. If they had a nanny, the nanny would probably make the dress for the doll, for the kid. Really interesting. But young little girls were encouraged to learn how to make clothing and learn how to sew. So a lot of these dresses were made by children, which was really, really good workmanship of the day. Now let's turn the doll around. I'm going to show you something interesting about this dress. Now this dress was at one time like a mint green color. Don't know if you can see that, but if you go into the folds, like where the light did not hit it, you will see this blue color. What happened was the dress got bleached by the sun. So somebody, for many, many years, actually displayed this doll near a window. Not a good idea if you have antique textiles. The color will actually fade, as you can see here underneath the wisps of her hair. And so this dress was at one time like almost like an aqua blue or a seafoam green, and it just faded. And well, it's not the worst thing that could happen. All right, so let's find out more about Heinrich Handwerk, and yeah, we'll conclude our video. So what is this doll worth on the market? Now, if I was to sell it, I'm not going to lie. I used to have shops on eBay, Ruby Lane, and Etsy until I got scammed on eBay once. I sold an antique doll, and a lady actually signed for it and then claimed she didn't receive it and did a chargeback, and I lost $450. And I contacted eBay. I had proof that the doll was signed for it. Look at all these orbs flying past us. Proof that the lady signed for it. And then they denied her claim and gave me my money back. Well, right after that, she actually did another chargeback, but this time with her credit card company, and said, item not as described. And back in the olden days on eBay, you were able to get somebody's phone number. And I called her up and I said, why would you do this to me? And she said, because I can. And I have your money and your doll. Ha, 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 ha. And I said, I am never selling on eBay ever again. And then I moved to other platforms. But yeah, I don't bother to sell anymore. But what would I sell this girl for? In my Etsy shop, honestly, because of the dress, even without the little purses, I could probably get $225 for this. Now, it would take a couple of years. It might take, 8 months to 3 years to sell this doll. But yeah, I'd eventually get my $225 for it. Now on eBay, something like this would probably sell for $60 to $90, and that's it. And but it's subjective. Prices for these dolls are very subjective. What one person is not willing to spend, another person will definitely be willing to spend without even balking at it. So that is the name of the game with these antique dolls. Certain dolls, it could be the same exact doll, made by the same exact company, the same mold number on the head. But just because it has a certain look or a certain color wig or a certain outfit, it will go for hundreds more dollars. So again, antique doll collecting is very subjective. What one person loves about a doll, another will not think is so pretty. So Heinrich handwork dolls were usually very high quality. Again, high quality heads made by Simon Halbig for them. This one was probably not made by Simon Halbig. Probably perhaps Armand Marseille, which was another German doll maker. Prolifically made dolls, but not as high quality. The painting was hastily done. I'm going to guess this might be an Armand Marseille head made for that company, or maybe Huback, Koppelsdorf, or one of those other lesser German doll making companies that made the heads could have made this doll. She does not have really good painting. Although her eyebrows are not the cheaper one-stroke eyebrows you generally see on cheaper dolls. They are wispy. They are done nicely. The rest of the doll, it's a little hasty. Not your prettiest, but pretty enough. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll do some more videos soon. And follow me on Rumble. There'll be a link in the description below. If you like bags, I do bag unboxings from DHgate. For entertainment and educational purposes only. I try to see what kind of bags you can get that are similar to the designer bags for less. It's just for educational purposes. Go ahead, follow me on Rumble. And if you're interested in fashion and handbags, I do a lot of handbag videos over there. Not on YouTube, but they're on Rumble. All right, see you guys over there as well. All right, so Heinrich handwork dolls from 1876 to 1932. Heinrich and Minna handwork dolls were produced in Waltershausen, Thuringia, Germany, beginning in 1876 or 1885 until they were purchased by Kammer and Reinhardt in 1902 as the Heinrich Senior passed away at the young age of 44. The handwork factory was continued independently of K&R. Heinrich Sr. invented and patented in the 1880s a machine to produce doll body parts. This meant quicker and larger quantities could be produced. Often, handwork bodies will have a red ink stamp with a patent number. Okay, mine doesn't because it's on a kid body. Okay, Handwork's bisque doll heads were designed by Handwork, but produced for them by Simon and Halbig, and are of high quality and fine workmanship, which continued under the K&R or Kammer and Reinhardt ownership. In 1921, Heinrich Handwork Jr. refounded the factory in Gotha near Waltershausen. Kammer and Reinhardt continued to produce the handwork doll molds until at least 1932. Between that time period, they added the OHG to the marking. Heinrich Handwerk is probably best known for their bebe, dolly-faced bisque head child dolls and babies. Some bisque shoulder heads on kid bodies like mine, but mostly bisque socket heads on composition jointed bodies. Handwerk also produced some celluloid dolls too. And let's look at the marks, and let's try to find mine. Okay, and we're going, and we're checking, and yeah, I don't see it anywhere. Where the hell is the mark? It was on the other doll site. Oh, here we go. Aha, here we go. So Heinrich Handwerk doll mark HCH. So we got that fancy H, the lowercase c, and the lowercase fancy h with the number, and there we go. So we do know that mine is a Heinrich Handwerk doll, and I hope you learned something. Not that many of you even care. Oh, look at this one. They even made a 420 doll. They made a 420 doll. Very interesting. I have to Google that one. It probably has a weed joint. What the hell do you guys call that? I'm old. A joint? A blunt? Yeah, it's holding a blunt. Oh God, I just showed you my age. How embarrassing.